Hey everybody, hope everything is going well for you this week. Let's go ahead and do Q&A. So any questions, anything goes. You can talk about health issues, conditions, whatever you'd like. Anything goes.
I would like to know how to best use the Holy Rose spray.
You could just spray it down your body, especially in the heart and the solar plexus area. It has a very strong cleansing effect on the body, but it does it through like soothing the emotional, mental body. I mean, the physical body too, but mostly the emotional, mental body. And the Holy Rose is Rose alba, which was the rose that was raised by the Church of England for the longest time. And then they gave up cultivating that particular rose. And then it became something that the public could access, and then started growing it, and then it started becoming distilled. And so the Holy Rose is Rose alba, which is the most premium rose on the market. It is actually a white rose instead of a red rose. And it's the only rose that activates the crown. You know, all roses are very activating and soothing to the heart. And Rose alba is the same. It activates and soothes the heart, but it also activates the crown and helps to mix the energy of the heart and the crown. So it's like, for those of you that are in the pranic healing circles, it's like twin hearts in a bottle. Like it does what we do in Twin Hearts just by, wearing it, putting it on your wrists here, like you could spray and just kind of rub it. You do that with the oils, but you could do it with the spray. So you can spray it into the chakras or mainly the heart and the solar plexus. Yeah. If you want to clean a surface, for a little while I was doing it, I would spray the bed, like the pillow and the sheets in the blanket. So for one, you're cleaning that. So if you were releasing stress or emotions from the previous nights, you're breaking that down so you don't kind of reabsorb that. And the rose was just really nice to fall asleep to. And I found that I got really good night's sleep doing it. Now I'm doing that with larch. I'm spraying down the bed with larch just because it's very soothing and fortifying to the nerves, and helps open up the lungs, good for respiratory health and things. So, I was rotating it around, but the Holy Rose is used for psychological healing, for soothing, prepping for meditation. Yeah, anything of that nature. Things with relationships before you're going to be intimate with your partner. You could spray down, yourself or your partner or the bed, or whatever you'd like in that moment. So.
Tracy from Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I thought you'd like that.
I did.
I took some rosemary verbena yesterday internally.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing that's different is we're going through the change of weather. So like in between seasons. But man, I am so stopped up today. Like just.
Yeah, it's probably not the rosemary verbena. It's probably the change of weather. Like if anything, the rosemary verbena would probably minimize that. The thing with rosemary verbena is it's good for the liver, it's good for the sinuses, good for respiratory issues, and it's also a very good endocrine balancer. It's very good for balancing out the hormones, and it's really good for when health issues are kind of complex, like you have several things going on and the body's a little out of balance and you're not quite sure what's going on. Rosemary verbena will really help you like kind of unwind things and give things a little bit of differentiation so that things become a little bit easier to treat. Sometimes they're so mishmashed with everything, it becomes hard to treat. And because it has such a balancing effect and a regulating effect on the endocrine system, it could be used really as like kind of a tonic. Not really great for allergies and change of season. I mean, it's not bad, it's not great, but definitely for regulating the endocrine system, which could be like, adrenals could be a little overactivated, something like the thyroid could be underactivated, overactivated. It's very balancing to all that. It really shouldn't have impacted the sinuses. If anything, if you inhale the rosemary verbena, it should help break down some of the mucus. But I mean, it is the time of year where that kind of stuff starts to happen. Anula is the best mucolytic there is, breaking down mucus. So you can inhale that right out of the bottle. Rosemary, verbena, basil, things like that, super good for treating sinus issues. Yeah, sometimes I even use something like petitgrain just to release the mucous membranes a little bit. And so, yeah.
I did all of those except for Anula today.
Yeah, Anula is a really good one. Yeah.
So yay, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And things that are lemony, like lemon verbena and Melissa, very, very good for reducing inflammation in the respiratory tract. Especially the Melissa. So there's mucus. There is stress can cause a sinus response as well. And so the Melissa is nice because it reduces any potential inflammation there, and Melissa will also soothe the nerves, and it's a nervine, so it calms everything down, and it has a little bit of a sedative property. And so, between anti-inflammatory and a little bit of calming and soothing and supportive of the nervous system. And Melissa also has a little bit of an effect on allergies. It's a really good one to use in times of stress or changes in the weather where you might potentially have an allergic reaction. You can inhale it, but I would actually inhale it and add a couple of drops of water and take internally. Melissa is very, very strengthening to the emotional heart as well. So if you feel like you're a little tender-hearted at the time, or your heart's a little brittle at the time, like you've been a little bad, emotionally battered for a little bit just through life and difficulties, Melissa will help you have the emotional strength to kind of push through and deal with things when times are difficult. So Melissa is really super good. It's great for children too. It will stop the emotional issues that come up for kids, especially if they're having fits or things like that. Melissa will calm them down really quite quickly. It's expensive, so I usually don't suggest it for treating children just because of the price. But like a 5 ml bottle, I mean, there's times where like I'll use it, take a few drops here and there. A 5 ml bottle will last me more than a year usually. Like I usually get a year and a half of just 5 mils. And so, it's not like you're taking it crazy amounts all the time, but yeah, good for that. The other thing to keep in mind too with respiratory issues, when the body's having like be it allergies or change of season, colds and flus, anything like that, something that we overlook a lot of times that's good for respiratory issues is black cumin. You could step up your black cumin and It's anti-inflammatory. It cleans the blood up from inflammation, but it's incredibly good for respiratory issues and all forms of respiratory issues, and good for prevention. And so good for after the fact and good for before the fact. And so, if you're already taking black cumin, you could also step it up a notch. You know, I had wrenched my back a little while back, and the inflammation, because I have torn muscles in my low back, and so when it goes, it goes. And so I was using black cumin to clean up the inflammatory material for after the fact. And boy, just 2 days of treatment, and I mean, I felt like my brain felt better, my mind felt better, like I was able to focus more, like and it wasn't because it was strengthening the focus, it diminished the inflammatory material so that the body just started functioning better. And it made a world of difference, and I just increased the dosage to about 5 drops a day. And that's a lot for a tonic, but like when you're treating something like a respiratory issue or something, you could bump it up to 4 or 5 drops.
Do you take the drops all at the same time for the black cumin?
I would mix it up. Yeah, like don't do it all at once. Like take it, and then 5 minutes later take another one, and give it a few minutes. And you don't have to do them in any particular order, but just yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean, you really don't have to do all of them. I would just choose one. Like I would. Melissa's really good for this time of year, and the black cumin is a good just like tonic. God.
could I do both?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think the Melissa might help with the donkey on the edge and might make me nicer to my husband.
It usually makes you a little bit nicer and a little bit less reactive. Another one for like relationships, if there's a little bit of tension between you and your mate, is mix rose and frankincense together. And then, you could put a drop or two in water, or just diffuse it, or even just wear it as a perfume. And you'll notice that you guys will get along better.
I will definitely try that.
The frankincense helps. The frankincense helps prepare the body for spiritual energy, which is something that we always say. But there's a handful of oils that make the basic chakra be able to shift into allostasis more easily, which means the ability to change. We're always maintaining a balance and striving for comfort, the physical body, but to have some sort of shift or some sort of change, sometimes the basic chakra is a little bit too rigid and inflexible and doesn't really allow for spontaneous action or different activity. And you're interacting in a relationship, there needs to be some spontaneity there. And so frankincense definitely does that. Rose alba does it, but the other roses don't. But if you mix the rose with the frankincense, you're getting conductivity in the basic chakra, which is the physical form. And then the rose is activating the heart. And the combination is very good for interactions, especially with a partner. Very, very good.
Thank you so much.
There was one situation where they were on the verge of divorcing, and I told the wife every night, you guys like take a drop or two of the concoction. It was a little bit. It was like two drops of frankincense to one rose or something, and I think she said they did that every night for a week, and divorce was off the table, and they started working things out. And she said, we were tail spinning. She goes, they were in the process of working towards, separating, not getting together or staying together. And that, brought it together. And so it doesn't necessarily fix it when people are done, but if there's still some love there, some hope, it can bring people around, because sometimes it's just the conditions for a while, conditioning and just difficulties that end up getting projected onto the relationship, or the relationship suffers. And it just helps people who love each other pull out of that. If people don't love each other, it's not going to necessarily correct or fix that. But for a relationship who's on the ropes, it can help pull that situation out. So if you take it a step further, it could be used to improve or increase intimacy.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell Brian you're going to start serving him a rose smoothie every night.
He definitely needs flexibility.
Just tell him it's an Indian thing. We're going to do a rose lassi. And,
he loves
Yeah.
rose tasting anything. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Someone asks, a few months ago, we talked in study group about cholesterol support, 2 drops a day in water. You said for 2 months, or was it longer? Should I stop taking it before my blood tests?
No, you should keep taking it. The thing with cholesterol is, yes, some of that can be genetic, and some of that, is diet. But, for me, for example, I've always had really low cholesterol, and even if my diet was really bad or poor, like my cholesterol doesn't usually go up. And then there's people that I know that they have just excellent, diets, the things that they eat, and their cholesterol is up at like 5 or 550. It's like crazy high. And so the thing that we have to take into account, because I just had my cholesterol done, and it actually had jumped up some points, like about 75 points, which I thought was odd. But I had some endocrine fluctuations, and my endocrine system, I have a genetic issue with my endocrine system. And when the fluctuation happened, it made the cholesterol go up for a little bit. So sometimes it could be tied to, your endocrine function and things like that. And so I would say keep taking it for a while. Like, it's not going to be just you take it for a little bit. Because if you're dealing with a genetic issue, your body is kind of wired that way. So you'll have to try to keep it down. Doesn't mean that you can't take breaks from time to time, but there can be things that you rotate to, like helichrysum is also very good for reducing cholesterol. Google, like Guggul. That's also good for reducing cholesterol, but the cholesterol support is kind of the go-to thing. It's nice, it's inexpensive, you can take it long periods of time. And so I would keep taking it through your doctor's appointment, and continue after the fact, and just until the cholesterol gets down into the range that you're shooting for. I would stay on it. The issue is that if it's a genetic issue and you stop taking it, over a little bit of time, your cholesterol will shoot back up again. And so if it's non-genetic and it's just based on diet or something like that, it should stay down. But if it's a genetic issue, it'll go back up again. So you're going to have to take it, kind of long term, just like you would like a statin or something, some sort of medication to keep it down. And so, yeah, I'd stay on it for a while. Basically think of it like this: you're cleaning up your liver, and the liver always needs cleanup. Always needs cleanup. And so you're doing things to lower the cholesterol, but you're also doing things to make your liver more healthy. And so it's kind of a win-win. You know, even if cholesterol is good, doing cleanup on the liver is always a good thing. You know, you could always improve liver function, always, always, always. You know, even babies, they can have cleanup on their liver almost immediately. You know, if you just think about it, it's filtering your blood. It's dealing with toxins. It's dealing with the things that you eat, the things you're exposed to, and even when you're around strong emotions and things like that, it actually impacts your liver more than you realize. Liver always needs a lot of work.
Can Greg talk about the new Supremes, the helichrysum and galbanum?
The galbanum complex.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the
complex.
galbanum complex is good for you know, doing the kind of the pain management kind of stuff. You know how galbanum reduces the pain and the pain threshold. It was made to enhance that or augment that. The helichrysum supreme, it's very interesting. I don't know why I hadn't thought of doing it before, but it's very good. You know, it's anti-inflammatory, super good for the liver, super good for anti-inflammatory properties. It's really good for pain syndromes. It's really good for releasing fascia. I mean, it's really good for releasing fascia, as good as the fascial release blend. Um, good for, like, it's probably 4 or 5 times stronger for moving past traumatic events, you know, how healing trauma and moving past trauma. It's really super good for that. So everything that helichrysum is good for, just times it by 4 or 5 with the helichrysum supreme, and it's a little bit less expensive than regular helichrysum. You know, regular helichrysum, we buy it in very large amounts so that we can get the price down, because I mean, we sell it for 45, but a lot of times you'll find it for 90, 100, 110. You know, it's one of those oils that's so amazing that I try to make it so that it's not a luxury to use. It's something that you can do for everyday use. And having a blend like that, just it lowers the price a little bit more and makes it more potent. And you know, just regular helichrysum by itself, you know, very good for scars, and this blend very good for scars as well. And bruising, you know, anytime you have an injury where there's bruising, even if it's uh, you know, a few days old, a week old, or whatever, if you put the helichrysum on, I mean, it starts breaking the bruise up within, you know, probably an hour of application. I mean, it starts diminishing the bruise. The scars, it could be a new scar, it could be, you know, a week old, it could be 10 years old, 50 years old, and it will break up the scar tissue. And the other interesting thing that you can do with the helichrysum is, you know, go back to the thing where you say you open up a drawer and it falls on your foot and, you know, you get the bruise. The helichrysum will take the bruise out, but if there's an open wound, you actually can put the helichrysum on the open wound. It helps to clean out the wound. You know, it's very cleansing to the wound to you know, clean out any potential infectious components, and reduces the inflammation and prevents further inflammation, and is incredibly soothing. Or sometimes when you put stuff on, especially over the counter medications for that, they can be a little bit stingy or a little bit irritating. Helichrysum is incredibly soothing. So it has a pain relieving property, it has an anti-inflammatory property to it, and it has a disinfecting property to it. And you could actually even use it in like even with burns and things like that. Lavender works really well for burns, but helichrysum can work really well for burns as well. And so, helichrysum is just one of those things that, they use it in skincare, they use it for um, cosmetics for the face, you can use it for body lotions. I usually take a helichrysum bath at least once a week. And, makes the body feel really super good. It takes a little tension out of the body. Helichrysum is definitely something that should be in your prime toolbox. Like might not be everyday use, but use it often. Use it often.
And then the other one is the Candida.
Yeah, the Candida. Anti-inflammatory, kind of in the vein of blue tansy, not quite is good for allergies as blue tansy, but it's anti-inflammatory like blue tansy. So it could be put in any sort of an inflammatory blend, mixed with like German chamomile, yarrow, blue tansy, Cape chamomile, Roman chamomile. So it would be in the vein of those anti-inflammatory oils. Yeah.
To add to this question, what does supreme, what does premium, and what does absolute mean?
Absolute is a type of extraction. And so instead of it being a steam distillation, using heated water to steam out the essential oils, instead, sometimes a plant will have very low yield for the essential oils. And so they go through a different extraction process where they use some sort of agent to extract the oil out, and it gets some of the other plant properties, and then they cook the extracting agent off. And so that leaves the material. And it's usually a bit more of a heavier note, not quite as light as a steam distillation. So absolutes are usually things that don't produce a lot of essential oils. Premium is like something that we've already made, like say we're talking about the blend for Archangel Michael or something. We try to do them in a way to keep the cost down so that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to be able to get something like that. But then the premium is a bit stronger, and we use just more high-end oils to do it. And so the cost is more, the strength is more, but we try to give you choices where there's kind of like the regular version and then the premium version. There's a few oils that we have that are single oils. Like we have a special Douglas fir that comes out of, I think it comes out of Siberia. Is that where it came out of? It came out of somewhere different than normal. And it's pretty much like a perfume grade Douglas fir, like it would be used in like men's colognes or aftershaves or something. I mean, the level or degree that it fortifies the nerves is more than any of the other evergreens, more than any of the firs or spruces or anything. So, the potency, the energy of that plant is almost double than just normal firs. And then we just got it in yesterday. We got a Siberian fir that is a CO2 and a CO2, and it smells more like the fir balsam absolute. It's got this really great smell. I mean, it's just so delicious. You want to eat it. And it's a bit more expensive than normal Siberian fir, but again, it's probably double the potency. So if you're really treating something significant and you're wanting to maximize treatment, you can switch over to that. Or if you're wanting to make like a fancy esoteric blend, or the Siberian fir CO2, the Siberian fir premium. I mean, I just wear it just by itself because God, it just smells delicious. And so again, can be worn as like a cologne or something. But it's very strengthening and fortifying to the nerves. And this is the thing, like, strong emotions can cause the nerves to be depleted. But the thing that we also have to take into account is really strong spiritual experiences can be hard on the body. And if you're meditating a lot, or doing ceremony, or whatever it is that you're doing, and there's a lot of spiritual energy kind of coming in or going through your body, sometimes it will make your nervous system a little bit agitated, or it can make it a little bit depleted. And the manifestation will be that haven't you ever felt like sometimes you feel like your nerves are shaking, like you feel a little shaky? It's not necessarily that your muscles are twitching, but you just feel a little bit internally shaky. That's your nerves are getting a little bit depleted and need to be stabilized and fortified. It's a way of saying strengthening without stimulating. And so you fortify the nerves. And so doing meditations and things like that, that's why sometimes they would burn certain incenses. Some of it was to create the space and put you in a good space for meditation, but sometimes it's also to strengthen the body and fortify the nerves. And so, you would also use like anointing oils and things that you would put on the body. Sometimes they would do it with oils. Sometimes they do it with powders, like powder the herb and then kind of rub it on the body. And that could be helpful as well. And so premiums usually mean like a higher end version of something that we're already doing. It's more potent and stronger. Supremes are when we take the same oil that comes from different regions. And so wherever the plant's growing, it's taking on some of its characteristics based on things going on in the environment. And so, it could be in a desert area in one area and a real grassy area the next, with plenty of rainfall, and one that's in high altitude and one that's down by the ocean. So each version of that same plant can have slightly different properties, characteristics, or even fragrances. And so what we do is we take the plant from the different areas that we can access and we blend them together. And that gives you more of a full spectrum of the potential of that plant. And it usually makes it anywhere from about 3 to 5 or 6 times stronger energetically and therapeutically than the plant just by itself. And so the Supremes are usually a way to get the strongest version of the plant. And, a lot of times it doesn't increase the price too much. And sometimes it actually even reduces the price, because from some of the regions, the plant can be actually less expensive, like vetivers that way. There's a couple vetivers that aren't, they're not crazy expensive. They don't smell the greatest. Like the one that I really like to get is like the best smelling one, and it's a little bit more expensive. And so when I make the vetiver supreme, the vetiver supreme is actually a little bit cheaper than the regular vetiver that we sell, because it's mixed with some other vetivers. And so yeah, like it's a way to increase potency without really increasing costs.
Perfect. Now back to, I think some of the earlier stuff you were saying to Tracy.
Sure.
What about allergy support for seasonal allergies?
Yes, you could use that. Allergy support. Neoli by itself is always good. Neoli is also very good for the endocrine system, by the way. Blue tansy is good. Melissa can be good. And always remember quercetin, which is crude form of vitamin C. Vitamin C by itself doesn't do it. It needs to be the crude form, which is quercetin. 2 or 3 capsules taken a couple times a day will greatly reduce allergic responses.
Now, can you take the allergy support internally?
You can, but it's actually better through the skin. It's more effective through the skin and through inhalation. So you would just do long, slow, deep breaths, not even really following a pattern.
And then also back to those, did you say it had to be rose alba with frankincense or any frankincense?
Any frankincense will work. And if you're ingesting it, it needs to be Damascus rose, Turkish rose, or rose alba. If you're just inhaling it or putting it in the environment or wearing it, it can also be rose absolute. Absolute, you don't want to take internally too much, you know. But the other roses you could take internally, but you know, it works pretty good just in the environment or you wearing the blend.
Sonia, did you have a question?
Hey, Sonia.
No, I didn't
It
unmute.
was just unmuted. Okay, I'll just mute you. No problem. Would tuberose work?
Yeah, probably. I probably wouldn't mix that with frankincense. I'd just do it by itself.
And is there a best type of frankincense?
Oman. Yeah, frankincense Oman.
My triglycerides are way high. It's genetic.
Yeah, so you could even increase the dosage to maybe 3 or 4 drops and do it daily. Yeah, daily.
A few weeks ago, you said we could use cypress and rosemary verbena for cholesterol.
Yeah.
What was the ratio? Is the cholesterol support better? How many?
Yeah, the cholesterol support is basically rosemary, verbena, and cypress together. Let me look at 2 parts rosemary, verbena, and 1 part cypress.
What would be the best way to take Glucola, in a tincture or in the herb form?
I prefer it in the herb form. I think it works a little bit better just because of like how the body processes in the capsule form. And so I would do it capsules, to be honest with you. The other thing with tinctures sometimes is the ratios of how they do the extractions is not always the same from company to company. You know, you get somebody like Gaia or somebody like that, they're pretty straightforward. They're basically using CO2s, which is kind of like using essential oils to make their products. And so their products are pretty strong. You know, somebody like Herb Farm, I mean, they keep it relatively standardized, but I find that capsules tend to work a little bit better than the tincture for Gotu-Kola. You know, other things maybe you can mix it up, but for Gotu-Kola, I usually do capsules.
Back to the description of like Supreme, those things. What about complex?
Complex is usually something that you take like lavender, for example, and other things have been blended with it to augment the effects of the primary oil. And so a complex is usually something like that. It's been blended to augment or enhance a particular property, but it's not the same plant. It's different plants to support the main primary plant.
I've been ready for a nap every day after this retreat. Is that nerve depletion too, or something else?
It's probably your adrenals have calmed down and you're sleeping a little bit more because you're not running on adrenaline. That's a very common side effect when you've had a bit overactivated adrenals. And given everything that's gone on the last couple of years, I would say practically everybody walking around right now has probably got overactivated adrenals. And so when the adrenals calm down, it seems like you would just be more relaxed, but actually what happens is you get a little bit more sleepy because you've been dealing with low-grade fatigue for a while. And so if you're feeling like a nap or something like that, like let the body nap, like let your body kind of recover. There was one time where, boy, I was like that. Most times it will last about a week or so. But there was one time where it was about 6 weeks for me. And, you know, the adrenaline plus caffeine, like it just, you know, the body, I've been pushing really super hard and traveling and, you know, getting a regular sleep and, you know, sometimes like not sleeping very much one night to make a plane and, you know, all those kinds of things. And boy, when I calmed the adrenals down, I was flipping tired. And, you know, best thing you can do is just let your body relax, like try not to fight it. And then, you know, after that, if you're still feeling a little bit like depleted, black spruce worn topically can be helpful. You know, you can rub it on your low back, but even just putting it on your wrist can be very good. Rosemary and camphor can also be good. And then time, like taking a little bit of time internally. Like softer forms of time, like time thuyunol, time geranol, better forms of time because they're gentle, they don't have as much heat, they can be taken for much longer time without, you know, causing too much heat in the body and things. Where, you know, white time and red time is more for, you know, dealing with an infection, you know, dealing with something short term, where thuyunol and geranol are more like long-term treatments that are strengthening. And then if that's still not quite getting it, then the next step would be to switch over to like some cinnamon or cassia, something like that. But I would use thyme because thyme is very strengthening specifically to the adrenals, where the cinnamon, not so much strengthening to the adrenals. I mean, it strengthens the body, but it doesn't necessarily strengthen the adrenals. And when the adrenals have been overactivated for a little bit, they're usually depleted and they need to be restored a little bit. And when they're more restored, you tend not to be is like hyper reactive, you know, because sometimes what happens is your adrenals, you can get like overactivated adrenals, but actually what happens a lot of times is you have hyperreactive adrenals, which means it starts to take less and less for you to get kicked into that adrenal fight flight response. And so sometimes this is actually even confused a little bit with PTSD, or could be a component of PTSD, but you're basically needing to calm the adrenals down, you know, the overactivated part, and then strengthen them. When they're depleted, they tend to react even quicker. And so if you use the thyme, you'll notice that the body feels better, the body feels stronger. It's not necessarily stimulated like drinking caffeine, and you're less reactive. And so, yeah, that can be very, very good for long-term treatment.
With the rosemary and the camphor, would it be internal? Would
No, I would use those topically. Camphor, you don't want to take internally at all. Rosemary, you could, but it actually works better topically. there is just like you can blend them kind of almost evenly and take salt baths. Like, you know, put a few drops on during the day and then take a salt bath with 10, 12, 15 drops of the combination. And that is very nourishing to the adrenals.
Would you apply them together?
Yeah, mix them together. Yeah, you could just even them out.
And then black cumin, did you mention that? Would that be good?
Black spruce. Yeah, black spruce. Black spruce is incredibly good for your adrenals. Yeah, incredibly good. Same with Sitka. Sitka is incredibly good for your adrenals.
My daughter Megan has an allergy to shellfish where she has used an EpiPen. She
Okay.
now has scent or perfume allergies that cause her nose and sinuses to stuff up. Which oils would be best to use remotely on her? Any protocols, oil?
Honestly, I don't know that remotely is going to cut it. Like, I think she needs to have like the, you know, because when you're doing it remotely, you're doing it with the energy of the plant. But something like that, it's going to need the physical chemistry. Honestly, I would put her on, oils can be good for allergies, but given the nature of her sensitivities and everything, I would actually probably do, you know, because she's having issues with scent. And so, you know, essential oils that are genuine usually don't cause an allergic response. But the ones that have some synthetic materials in it can cause a response. But what happens sometimes is when a person starts to get so used to having the responses, it's almost like the Pavlov dog response. You know, the person starts to smell the scent and they start to have you know, a little bit of anxiety, and they can actually even cause like a pseudo allergic response. And they're not doing it consciously. It's just, you know, you get conditioned so many times, you have the response, and then pretty soon it just becomes an issue. You know, the same happens with seizures. Is most seizures, you know, there's regular seizures, but there's these things called pseudo seizures. And a lot of times people have more pseudo seizures. They look the same, but you know, the brain activity is different. And so with the allergies, I would do 2 to 3 capsules of quercetin twice a day. And I would put her on 3,000 milligrams of cordyceps, which is a type of mushroom. And always just for effect, I always usually put them on like 400 to 500 milligrams of magnesium. And people with horrible allergies, usually within 30 days are feeling substantially better. When she starts to feel a little bit better, I would continue that treatment, and then I would follow it up also with ANS support, because you're strengthening how the nerves fire in the gut. And some allergies are actually caused by poor nerve innervation in the gut. It's just like the nerves have gone to sleep a little bit. Just like if you sat on your foot, you know, your foot goes to sleep. That can happen in your gut. They call it the neurovegetable system. And by going through and doing this, you're making the nerves work better in the digestive tract, which usually improves digestion. A lot of times what people call food sensitivities or food allergies is actually poor nerve innervation to the digestive tract. And so that's the way that I would treat it. You know, the oils could be helpful. It would be slower, but given that she's already having sensitivities to perfumes and things like that, I think it would produce less anxiety for her, or less concern, and it would be something that she can consistently do for treatment. And usually they start feeling better like within a day or two, but within 30 days. I mean, people who are on inhalers 2 or 3 times a day for allergic asthma, usually within 30 days, we're able to get them off the inhaler. And so, sometimes it takes a little longer, but that's the way that I would treat it. Yeah, that's the thing. Essential oils are good, really super good for some things, and then there's some things where it's like, it's okay, but sometimes we need to augment it with either supplements or herbs or something like that. So I always like to do combinations if it works better, rather than just trying to do everything with an essential oil. If essential oils don't meet the need there, then I switch over and I do other things. And this is one where I still support it with essential oils. Like for me, my allergies aren't too bad, so I can just use essential oils and I'm fine. But if they start getting bad, I switch back over to the quercetin and do the quercetin, and it makes the body feel a lot better.
When she's ready for the ANS support internal?
Yeah, you would do 2 drops in water daily. Yeah. And should probably do that for at least probably 60, 90 days, maybe even a little longer.
Question. Will adrenal support calm or regulate adrenals?
It's more to strengthen the adrenals. Yeah.
And will that lower cortisol?
No. The one oil that I've used to lower cortisol has been vetiver. Vetiver seems to have a lowering effect on cortisol.
Any vetiver?
Yeah, should be any vetiver.
I was reviewing my old notes and Greg said to use coffee by itself in the salt bath, not to use lavender with it,
Right.
because the violet lavender and the orange prana from the coffee cancels each other out.
Yeah.
What are some general rules when mixing the colors, especially using coffee and eucalyptus, using lavender floral water in mixture affect other oils that are put in it?
I wouldn't get too caught up in that, but like violet and orange don't really work well together. They cancel each other out. And so like if you blend those things together, they just become less effective. They don't really produce quite the same result. And so, orange is better with things that are like green pranas and things like that. I don't really talk about the pranas too much because the oils go through cycles as they evaporate and they change. The prana of the oils change as it evaporates, as it diffuses and evaporates in the air. That's why you'll smell a change of smell, and as the scent changes, the energy is changing. And so it's hard to say like one oil is a particular color because it's usually cycles through 5 or 6 different colors as it is evaporating. So rule of thumb, just the lavender and the coffee, just because of the pranic healing circles. Those two don't work well together, but tea tree would work, eucalyptus would work, wouldn't be an issue. But the coffee is pretty strong by itself. And so one of the things you want to, if you wanted to use lavender as well, is take a coffee bath, and then as you get out, you could either spray lavender on your body or rub like a lavender lotion, and that would work fine. You just don't mix them together. If you're not sure, don't mix them together, use them separately.
All right, and that's all that's typed in the chat now.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Is Paula on?
Not today, tomorrow,
Okay.
next week.
Okay. Should I
You know,
quiet?
I have a grandson who he was born with a temper, when he was 9 months old. His mom called in me and she said he was under the table and he bumped himself on the table leg and turned around and started beating the table leg up. And he has had trouble controlling his emotions, and it's interfering with his relations with other people. So I'm not sure.
So this is, I would almost, I mean, you can treat it a couple different ways, but I almost guarantee you that's allergies. Like he's got like how old is he right now?
Well, he's 8 now, I think.
He's 8. A lot of times allergies to sulfites will cause out of control angry outbursts. And that's not just a holistic thing. That's actually something that they talk about in Orthodox medicine, is that the allergies can produce like substantial anger outbursts, especially to sulfites. And so, I mean, you can try treating them with quercetin, just like lower dosages, like maybe just a capsule twice a day. There's times where you can find it in like a tincture form that's like glycerin based. I can't remember the company that makes it, but I would do things that are supportive of allergies. And then two things that are used for outbursts like that for that age. He's starting to get right at like another couple of years, you'll have to start treating him more like an adult when you're doing something therapeutically. But right now, Roman chamomile will be helpful, but Melissa would be really super helpful. Like that would be like angry outbursts in children. Usually the go-to thing is Melissa. If you don't have Melissa, Roman chamomile is the next thing.
Is it oral or inhale or what?
If you can give them like a drop in water, you could actually even put it like a drop in water and only give them half the glass and then the other half later. Like it doesn't have to be that strong. But most times I just have the moms put them on with like a drop or two and some lotion and then rub it like on their arms and chest and like that. And that will get it. It's usually super, super soothing to them.
For the quercetin, how much dosage is a capsule? What are you talking?
I think the capsules are like 400 or 500 milligrams.
There's a lot of allergies in our family, and my other grandson.
I almost guarantee you it's allergies. I mean, especially at that age, I think baby foods have actually a lot of sulfites in them, and it probably started off as having allergic reactions to the baby food. And then,
she never gave him baby food.
She just made everything like.
She she did like I did. She ground up regular food and gave it to the kid, and kid likes it. So did my daughter.
Right. Okay. I still say it was allergies though. Like whatever it was, there's some sort of allergy.
Yeah. There's a lot of allergies, and my other grandson has asthma, but it turns out to be a reaction to like an airwick kind of thing. And then what concerns me is like in our family, there's allergies, there's immune allergies, there's toxicities, and then there's autoimmune reactions to stuff. Mm-hmm. And the doctor said the autoimmune is like particularly to perfumes and stuff like that. That's autoimmune, that it's increase in hot or cold or pins and needles or all those nervous system reactions are autonomic. And those persons who get those he said are usually rare, but they don't function like anybody else. And so like all of the family has allergies. My daughter and her kids and myself, and I got them worst. But like,
okay. So like if you suspect autoimmune, Moroccan thyme is always good to use that. And it's also a very good anti-inflammatory, especially in autoimmune related conditions. And the other thing to keep in mind is, diffusing lemongrass in the environment. Lemongrass is a very good autonomic balancer. Like it really helps to balance out the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And so, you know, you don't even have to wear that topically. You could be diffusing it in the environment. It helps to balance out the autonomic responses. And it also acts as prevention for colds and flus and contagious diseases. And so that could be something that is put into the repertoire for you know, treating the family or for a particular person in the family.
Well, my daughter and two of her kids are also, they're hyperactive. So it's, I don't know. Like I don't, what works for me is liposomal vitamin C. If I don't take that, I get sick, and it's like 3.5 to 4.5 months, and it's sinus and sore throat, and then it goes into lungs and pneumonias and stuff. If that doesn't happen with the liposomal, and most of the quercetin I had seen had something that helps it digest, some boron or something, bromide. And I was told not to take that because I don't process out heavy metals.
I don't know what to tell you then. Like that's been my go-to thing, and if I'd have to do some research on that, and I don't know what to tell you there.
Well, low liposomal works for me. I mean,
Okay.
it clears up the problem.
Okay.
And part of mine is a genetic problem.
Right.
So I don't know if my kids and my daughter have that genetic. They haven't been tested, but they've been told
I
that
would
they
start
need
off treating it just straight up, and then wait for if there's a problem.
to see if there's a reaction.
Yeah, I would treat it straight up.
Well, I react to sulfates too,
Yeah,
like
most people
MSM
do.
and all that. MSM and I don't know, a lot of things. Frankincense, I really react to because I was taking that for, joint arthritis and stuff. Man, it made it worse. I stuck onto it for a long time, and it just nope. Finally had to drop it.
Yeah, maybe do some Moroccan thyme if you're not.
Moroccan thyme.
Yeah. Sounds like you need to regulate the thymes. I'm concerned about some of these. I used to put a lot of time in what I cooked, but I'm allergic to it. Thyme and marjoram. I'm okay with basil. Basil I can eat all day, but I tend to use, and I use parsley, but I tend to react to most spices. And so Moroccan thyme should be a little bit different. Yeah.
Moroccan thyme. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Thanks. Let us know. Okay.
And then one more question. Is there an essential oil that tightens loose skin after weight loss surgery?
There's been talk of it. I don't know that I ever found anything that worked great. You could try helichrysum. I had a client one time try black pepper, and she said it seemed to help a bit, but let me look into that. It might not be an essential oil, it might be something else, but let's see if there's something that can be done. Over a period of time, sometimes it tightens up a little bit, but I really don't. I don't have something I can answer this right there. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so I think we got everybody's answer. I'd like to continue a little bit with what we were doing last week, which was working on sleep. And we did one of the segments in the sleep class, we did calming down the sensory nerves and then relaxing the muscle. I'd like to continue with that segment, which is component 3. And we're going to use tarragon. And if you don't have tarragon, benzoin would work, fennel, marjoram, poplar balsam, anise or anise, however you want to say it, or yuzu. Blends are the Nervine blend. And if you have the Vital Center kit, thalamus will work. And this is to help you achieve deeper states of sleep through all the levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Although I think they've changed it just to 3 levels of sleep, AMA, but basically the 4 levels of sleep that we've always known. Plus, this helps to stimulate the pineal gland, which is how you process information from the higher soul. And so while you're sleeping, it helps to potentially increase the contact to the higher soul so you can process things at night that you wouldn't normally process during the day. So it's healing on a lot of levels, psychologically and physically. So go ahead and grab one of those oils. And begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your throat. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your throat. Move to the bottom of your throat, the throat minor, right here, this little notch between your 2 collarbones. Move your awareness to the back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. Move your awareness to the jaws where they hinge in front of the ears. The temples. And the back head, opposite the eyebrows on the back side. and the forehead, where the hairline is. Just be still, be aware. Just let go. Notice how you feel. We're going to do the same oil, same application. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the throat. Long, slow, deep breath. Your awareness is on the throat. Move to the throat minor, which is the bottom of the throat, the little notch between the two collarbones. The back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. The jaws, where they hinge in front of the ears. the temples. Back head, opposite your eyebrows on the back side. Your awareness is on your back head. And then your forehead, where the hairline is. Just be still, be aware. Okay, we're going to go to the next segment, which is the vibration of the nervous system. Helps you process things in the night to a deeper degree. Helps you to release things, work through things, pull things together. It does help to deepen the sleep, but it really is helping to increase your connection to the intuitive mind. Helps increase, improve the influence of the higher soul. So if things aren't good for you, it will actually diminish and help to release it. If things are good for you, it reinforces it and strengthens it. And so blue tansy, fir balsam, Siberian fir would work. I'd say any of the firs except regular fir balsam. And then the Moses blend would be good. Also, if you have fancy oils like aloes could be okay, tuberose could be okay. Even rose would be good.
For balsam absolute.
Yes, for balsam absolute is perfect. Okay, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your throat. Your bottom of your throat, the throat minor. The back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. And then the jaws in front of the ears. The temples. The back head, opposite your eyebrows. And the forehead, where the hairline is. Just be still, be aware, just let go. That's one more time. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the throat. The throat minor, which is at the bottom of your neck. Your back throat, the middle of the back of your neck. The jaws where they hinge in front of the ears. The temples. The back head, opposite your eyebrows. And the forehead where the hairline is. Just be still, be aware. Notice how you feel. We'll continue talking about this next week on our Tuesday session. And I also want to say, with Stara, we released Ninth Degree, which is a new degree lesson on Monday. And I want to say thank you for the guys where you reached out and bought the Ninth Degree. It was very kind of you. So thank you for your support. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal for us, Stara. So thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. And so with that, we're gonna switch over and go to the Angel study group. So you're more than welcome to join us. It's open to everybody. We're gonna switch the link and switch over to Angels and switch gears and do something a little different. So love you guys, and I'll see you next week or hopefully in just a minute.